So we are very happy to welcome again Urmila Devi Dasi. Let's give her a big hand.
Thank you, sir. Just need my fingerprint. Okay, we can just put it right here. Sure. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pstaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gauravani Pacharne Nirvisesa Sunivadi Bhaskatya Desatarne Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Ta Padakamalam Shri Guru and Vaishnavam Shta Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Sam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvitam Parijana Sahita Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Shta Vanchakapachubhishcha Kripasindavi Bhatapatitanam Pavane Vaishnavibhinamo Namaha. All right, for this you're all going to need paper, something to write on and something to write with, and paper and pen. Oh, wow, thank you. We'll probably do better than a phone for this. Thank you. And this is an exercise you'll start on your own, but then it's best done with. All right. So we're going to be deciding what's most important to us. What's most important to us. Okay? Now, I'm just going to show this with something different. Just so you can get a sense of how this is done. By the way, this particular exercise is useful for all sorts of things. Oh, wonderful. Now let's say I wasn't going to use this list because I'd like to show you this with a different list but the same idea. Is that okay? All right? Okay. The reason that I want to do that is I don't want to prejudice you in any way with this list. So I'm going to think about, well, what would I like? What's most important to me in my career? And I might say, well, let's see, it's flexibility, creativity, good friends, close, enough pay, growth, fun, helping the world. So first I might just write a list. Now in this case we're starting you off with a list. Okay. But after we do this, if we have enough time, which we probably won't, you can also do this with your own list. And I would suggest you do this on your own time. All right, so I've come up with this list so sort of randomly. What else might I put on this? All right, let's see. Serving God. What else would I care about in a career? I'd probably put peaceful environment. Oh, I'm going to put an ergonomic environment. Which to me means my laptop doesn't go on a desktop desk and I don't use a dining room chair. Okay, so I made this list. Now I'm going to decide what's most important to me on this list. This is not real, folks, okay? Right? This is not my list. All right? Yeah, I'm just showing you how to do the process. You're going to be doing the process with this. I'm showing you how to do the process that we're going to do. We're going to do it with this list. And I'm showing you this with a list that I'm making up, but this is not Urmila's list. I'm doing that intentionally. All right. I mean, some of this stuff I care about, but this is not my list. So let's say I was going to be putting this in order, and I might think, well, I think what's most important to me is going to be growth. That's the most important thing. And the next most important thing is going to be close. I don't have a long commute. Next most important thing to me is I got to be helping the world. Next most important to me is it's got to have flexibility. Another reason I'm showing you this with these words is that you can do this exercise with your own words on your own. And that will be very helpful to put together an exercise with your own words and with these words. And the words can mean whatever you want them to mean. Nobody has to understand them except you. So I know what I mean by flexibility. That's good enough. All right. And then I'm going to put fun. I'm going to put creativity. All right. And etc. And I look at this, I say, yeah, this is what's most important to me. I will pretty much guarantee you that this ranking is wrong. Now here's where you work with a partner. And the partner asks you, all right, Urmila, let's say you could only have one. You could only have growth or close. If you could only have one and not the other, which one would you want? I think we'll take the growth over close. Okay, so that's all right. If you could only have growth or helping the world, what would you want? Oh man, I'd rather help the world. Okay, so then this one goes up. All right, if you could only have growth or flexibility, what would you want? Oh boy, okay, I think I'd rather have flexibility than growth. All right, so now I have helping the world, flexibility, and growth. Now I start looking, well, what about helping the world and close? What about flexibility? You start looking at each possible pair, and they're going to shift. Everything's going to shift. So, and you need to have someone else ask you. Ideally, asking yourself doesn't work that well. When you say to yourself, well, would I rather have this or would I have that? Somehow someone else asks you and they think about it and you go, no, I think I'd rather have creativity than fun. And that's going to move. But would I rather have helping the world or creative? Maybe I'd rather be creative even if I don't help the world. And so I'm going to put that up. Are you all following? It takes a little while. It's going to take you a little while to rank these. It's probably going to take you about 5 or 10 minutes to rank these. Aishvarya, Gyan, Virya, Shri, Yasha, and Vairagya, and beautiful, supportive, sustainable, regenerative, just, honorable, true, and wise. And then after you've ranked them, it's probably going to take you 20 to 30 minutes of working with a partner, and that's going to take all of our time because we only have an hour and a half. And everybody needs to do this. So you don't want to take all of the time for your partner for you, and you don't do anything for them. Okay? So whatever time we have left, cut in half. And get it so that you're really asking about every 2 pairs until you get a ranking. Once you have everything ranked, let's say this was my final rank, which it is not, but let's say it was, then I put a line under the first 4 or 5. And I ignore the rest. And those are the things that are the most important to me in my career. By the way, you can use this same technique for relationships, for where you want to live, for all kinds of things. It's a very useful technique for kind of uncovering subconsciously what we want and what's most important to us. And it's sometimes a useful exercise to do maybe every few years in regard to some things, because sometimes our priorities change over our lifetime. Does anyone have a question about the process? Yes? You're putting them together, yes. Now keep in mind that the list on the left is a little bit different from the list on the right. The list on the left is what kind of pay you want your job to give you. Do you want your job to supply you with the wealth of Aishvarya? Do you want your job to supply you with the wealth of Shri? It's a little different than is it beautiful? I might be creating beautiful things for the world that don't fill my own life with beauty. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah? I'll put it all in one list. Mm-hmm. Yes. This is not easy. If you wanted an easy workshop, you should probably just leave because this is not going to be easy. Yes?
So when I know rank, I'm going to rank on the left,
And you're mixing that with the right.
and I'm going to say, so if I think strength, power, and health are important, and I think
Well, you're just going to use Sanskrit words. You're not going to use all those definition words. Okay.
And then I think that, okay, but out of the list on the right, what is sustainable is the most important to me. Do I put those two together, one above the other?
You're going to put one above the other, yeah? One above the other on the list. And your top 4 or 5 are going to be the ones that are the most important to you. And hopefully in that top 4 or 5, you'll have something from each list. Hopefully in the top 4 or 5, you won't just have things on one list. But first you're going to rank it, and I will guarantee you that your ranking will be wrong. I'm just going to guarantee you that when you work with a partner and you start looking at things in pairs, so first just do it intuitively. Don't be too analytical about it. I would not take more than 5 or 10 minutes for that. In fact, I just won't even give you more than 10 minutes for that. And don't be too analytical. Do it more intuitively. Then you're going to go through this questioning from another person here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're perfect. We have 12 people. So is that clear? And I'll walk around when you're doing that to make sure that you're following the protocol. Yes? On the left, it's what you want your job to supply to you. On the right, it's what you want to give to the society. What's on the left is what you want to get. What's on the right is what you want to give. To put it as simply as possible. Put it together. If we had 3 hours, I'd ask you to make 2 different lists, but we don't. So that's also something you could do on your own. On your own, you could separate the 2 lists and do a separate ranking for the 2 lists, but you really want somebody else to give you feedback. I have not found this to be nearly as effective if I ask myself those questions. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah. When there's someone else sitting there going, well, if you could only have Yasha or Honorable, which would you like? If you had to choose between the 2 of them, which would you choose? That's the question. And it should be asked for each pair until you get a ranking. And again, on the left is what you're going to get from your work, and on the right is what you're going to give. Is that all right? Okay. And we really don't have to broadcast anymore after this. We can stop broadcasting. This was the instruction for everyone to work on their own. At this point, everyone's going to be working on their own. So if you would like to stop broadcast now, but I did want to give this template to the people because a lot of people couldn't attend, but they said that they wanted to participate. So for those of you who are watching the broadcast, I think we can end it now. Thank you very much. Om Tat Sat. So let's take till 2:30.